So what are alternative investments, right? What are they really? How do they work? Are they like stocks? Are they REITs? What are they? That's what we're gonna talk about in this video right now. Okay, so you've probably heard of alternative investments, or maybe you haven't heard of them at all, but what are they really? Is it crypto? Is it REITs? Is it something else? Is it real estate? Well, I'll tell you, there are some differences. And yet, it could be yes, all the above. However, there are alternative investments that are actually high risk, some are lower risk, and some are awesome if you want real financial freedom. So let's dig into what those are right now. Okay, so alternative investments, I like to think of it like this. Alternative investments are Main Street versus Wall Street. Wall Street's everything your financial advisor offers you, right? It's the stocks, the bonds, the mutual funds, right? It could be options if you're a trader in the stock market. Those are Wall Street investments. When I was a financial advisor, I thought that was pretty much it. Now, granted, I heard of some alternative investments, like a real estate rental, for example. I heard about real estate investing, but as a financial advisor, because I don't get paid off of you buying real estate, I would just tell people, yeah, you could do that with some extra money, but put all your money here, right? Because we're diversified. You don't want to be overly heavy in real estate. Diversify. The problem is this, guys, is that you're not even really diversified when you're in mutual funds. It's actually the same asset class, which I'll talk about here in a minute, but it's just a different game, right? It's all about Wall Street. It's all that ding, 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 and the people up there like clapping their hands, saying like, yay, I actually got up here for whatever reason for this one day of May 28th, or whatever it might be, right? Those are the kind of things you see on the news. That's what everybody seems to talk about. But this alternative game is the place where real millionaires, people with actual money, make good money. Now, I'm not saying you can't make money in stock markets. I'm not saying that at all. Yes, there are people with a lot of money putting money in the stock markets. I get that. However, what we find is on the Main Street is where everything else is. This is where America was started, right? Wall Street, yeah, that came later. But Main Street's how the world began. It began by somebody investing in someone else, saying, I believe in you. Let's help you out with this. Let's make this happen. Let me partner with you so that you can buy that land, you can farm it, or whatever it might be. That's how it all started. So Main Street investing, I call it Main Street. Rather than call it alternative investments, which it is, yes, these are about alternative investments, but alternative investments are really Main Street investments. It's the other parts, the parts that actually can make you a lot of money. Like I mentioned, I was a financial advisor. I didn't know about this world. I didn't know that was really even possible. Well, at some point, when I was a financial advisor, about 4 years in, when I realized that my dad couldn't even retire, despite saving so much money in his 401ks and getting the match, despite paying off all his debt, still had to tell him, Dad, if you try to retire today, you're gonna have to die in like 5 or 6 years because you'll run out of money. If it weren't for Social Security, you would run out of money too quickly. Well, that was a problem. And I was trying to find some answer for him. I couldn't just put him in the typical, even annuities, because what if that annuity didn't pay well enough? Well, this one could pay more, but it's gambling in the stock market. What if the stock market goes down? What if I don't want to lose my dad's money? I don't want to have his livelihood and then he blames me for it all, right? So I was taking that responsibility very seriously. And of course, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. Just weeks later, I'm talking with a friend who I had hired to be a financial advisor, but then he went to go do real estate investing. And I thought, okay, yeah, there's another guy following his dreams, yay, it sounds like I'm a jerk, like, yeah, you're following your dreams. I was actually just waiting to hear him go broke so then he would want to come back to work for me. But when I called him up, he said, Chris, my life is amazing. My dad and I have partnered on some real estate deals, and we've now doubled his income that he makes as a professor at the local university. And I said, whoa, hold on. That's too good to be true for my little financial advisor brain to comprehend. How is that possible? And it led to a discussion. Like I didn't want to believe it at first, but when I started to open my mind saying, listen, there are things I don't know, I don't understand what's available, I'll tell you guys, it was like freaking taking the Matrix pill, right? It was like taking the freaking blue pill and be like, holy cow, there is a whole new world here. There's a whole world of real estate investing that I didn't even know about. I thought it was just rentals. And when they're saying, no, you can actually flip properties. You can actually buy a property, low value, sell it for high, buy low, sell high. I've taught that as a financial advisor. Why couldn't you do that with real estate, right? They would do that kind of thing. They would even like lease out to investors and things like that. What if you use an investor's credit to help you buy the property? Then you go and make money off the property. Then you could partner on some deals. What if you actually didn't even use your own money? You use somebody else's money to make money. That's like an infinite rate of return, right? And then you could lend money and become like the bank. You can do stuff where you're actually a partner on some of these things, right? And it's not just real estate rentals. It could be apartment buildings. It could be self-storage units. It could be assisted living homes. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. It could be buying oil and gas wells and things like that. that. There was this whole world I knew nothing about. Now, hedge fund managers knew all about this stuff, right? But I wasn't the privileged hedge fund manager. I was dealing with like the middle class people. I was dealing with the people that were just saying, give me whatever they're offering most of Americans, right? And that was just stocks, mutual funds, bonds, pretty boring when you think about it. It was amazing that they spent so many hours training me to just sell more crap, right? It was really the same crap, not even diversified. And so as a result, like of that world, I had to leave being a financial advisor. I was like, I can never teach about this stuff again because I know it's not working. Financial advisors can't retire off their own advice, neither can their clients. So why would I keep teaching something that's broke just because it makes me more money? That's out of integrity. And so I quit. I'll just be a mortgage broker, and then I'll go and I'll do some stock trading, and then I'll even just do some stuff, learn about real estate investing. And that's what I did. Like, by the way, I even taught ballroom dancing during that period of time. 2006 was a fun, varied year for me. I had a lot of variety for sure. Now, as I was starting to learn that, I started to realize it's all about the income, the cash flow, right? Is what creates freedom. So I started to do that. And the next thing you know, guys, later that next year, I was able to retire when I was 28, almost 29 years old. And it was shocking to me that was even possible. And by the way, I was doing it not just through real estate, even through business things, doing things on that alternative investment path. And that's where the light bulbs went off, right? Because it wasn't about accumulating a lot of money like you're always taught. It was about, how do I actually create cash flow? How do I have money coming in even if I don't have to work hard for it? And that's where I realized, and in fact, I'll tell you, I haven't showed this on this channel much, but it was actually June of 2006. It was about the same month I was able to retire. Some of the people that had their, this is pre-YouTube, right? This is, these guys had their own little AM talk radio show, and this one real estate investor died in a plane accident. I went to his funeral, and I sat there in the back of the room because even though I showed up early, I was still in the back of the room because he was that popular of a guy. He had done that much to create value for people. And it opened my eyes because, one, this guy was actually teaching about this very thing I'm talking about on this channel here. But two, I realized that he didn't just make money just to take care of his own family. He was trying to teach the world. And I realized in that moment that I had some part of that mission. I didn't know what it was going to look like at that time. I didn't know I'd be talking to you guys right now. But that mission drove me to doing something else because I realized as a financial advisor, I only had this narrow lens. And I knew that my clients had an even narrower lens because they only learned what I taught them. But I realized that I had to break the shackles off. I had to get away from that space. I had to get away from it and do something more. I couldn't just retire myself and take care of my family. That would be an easy, comfortable life. But I really believe that God gives us abilities and gives us these opportunities to do something greater with our life than just take care of our family. I think that's one of the most selfish things anybody can do is say, I just want to be able to pay my bills and take care of my family. Hey, that's a great place to hit. That's a little notch on the benchmark of your life, but you can do so much more. And so that's why I started to teach people like this about these alternative investments, that you can do more things. So let me just share a few minutes about some of my favorite ones that I'm doing as well. Now, I've done things well and I've done things poorly. I prefer the things that work, okay? So first and foremost, I mentioned rentals. I learned from the hard experience that I'm not a good property manager. However, I can hire turnkey companies that help me find the property. They also find the renters for me and they property management for me. I don't have to know or talk to the renters at all. I just have to buy the property and let them do the work. And I could buy it anywhere in the country. So even like where I live in the western half of the United States, here rentals aren't great. But if I go out east, rentals are much better because the prices are lower while rents are still higher. I can make more profit. So I can buy it anywhere in the country because those people are boots on the ground. They've got people there to actually manage the renters. Yes, things could go wrong, but I'll tell you guys, I've had rentals that have paid me, like I put a down payment on one rental of $32,000 that now last 6 years has paid me $165,000 between cash flow and appreciation. And by the way, and that's with me paying almost no tax on that money. It's huge. Even if I put that same money in the stock market, I might have $65,000, not $165,000, right? And that's with a good market, like above average market returns. So that's one way I've done it. There's also other things. I can lend my money out. I can lend my money to other investors. That's another alternative investment you can do. You could be a lender. It could be a lending fund, or you can lend money to an individual investor for an individual property. And you can actually have claim and title on that property. So if something goes wrong, the property's yours. Ideally, you have equity in that property so that, say that it's worth $300,000, but they only borrow $200,000 from you. That means you have $100,000 of equity. So if something goes wrong and they don't pay you, you can take that property back like the bank does if you don't pay your mortgage payment, and you can then sell the property or do whatever you want with it at that point. You can also do things in a place like assisted living. You could do self-storage. You can buy apartments and just pool your money with other investors called syndications. You do things like that. Guys, you can buy oil and gas and do a syndication that way, and you get paid royalties. Yes, you could even do the speculative drilling stuff, or you can be the one where they've already done the speculation, and then you're just collecting the royalties, right? There's franchises you can buy. There are so many different things that you could be doing with your money that, again, financial advisors won't teach you because they don't understand it, or two, they don't want you to know about it because if you don't have your money with them in their small little world of mutual funds, they don't make money off of you. They charge a little 1% on your money, but if all of a sudden you take that away, they can't feed their families anymore because the investments don't work for them. Why would it work for you, right? That's the beauty of these alternative investments. Now, we can learn a whole lot more about this. If you guys want to dig deeper down this little rabbit hole, guys, I recommend also subscribing, not just to the Money Ripples channel here, but our Money Ripples podcast channel, where we talk about a lot of those different options and open your eyes to what's actually possible and what those alternative investments actually are.